So hi everyone, my name is Vishaka Sharma. I'm a senior principal data scientist at Roche Diagnostic Information Solutions. And today I will be presenting on the topic how Roche data platform accelerates feature engineering through generative AI. So to give you a little bit of a background of Roche, basically Roche is a 126 years old global leader in biotechnology and in vitro diagnostics. It is headquartered in Basel, Switzerland, and it has two main business divisions, diagnostics and pharmaceuticals. So as the future of healthcare is tied to digital transformation, Roche has developed impactful health innovations benefiting millions of patients. They lead in vitro diagnostics, performing like 27 billion diagnostic tests, and are top provider of cancer treatment to patients treated with Roche medicines. So Roche basically last year has unified its digital solutions under the brand Navify, which integrates data across care settings, deliver insights, and accelerates healthcare innovation. And you can find more information about it at navify.com. So just to give you a little bit, we are in the process of basically building this digital data integration platform, right? So what the goal of this digital data platform integration platform is basically to integrate different disparate sources of healthcare data, which is sitting in electronic medical records, digital pathology, radiology, and clinical reports. It could be clinical notes, it could be diagnostic reports of various types, right? To empower the research, clinical decision support, and healthcare insights through Navify products, ultimately improving the patient care. So I think one of the things that I want to also highlight is that, just to see like basically our journey started few years back, I will say in this digital products. And then main our goal was to build some NLP systems, which are basically based on convolutional neural networks in the past, right? So as most of this healthcare data is unstructured and is not available for quick consumption at the point of care, so we build an AI-assisted data abstraction solution, right? It leverages basically the natural language processing, machine learning to auto-detect medical concepts and translate these free text into data that is structured and enriched while reducing the burden of manual data entry. At that time, when we started a few years back, we were using, deep learning models like convolutional neural network, by LSTMs, etc. So to go through a typical machine learning NLP pipeline for feature extraction, etc. But recently, what we are doing is as we are all exploring the large language models and generative AI, one of the recent capability that we have building in our data platform is that we are working on automating a case summarization for tumor board meetings where the clinicians come together and they discuss the different cancer cases, which are quite advanced in their clinical journey, right? And for these, we are leveraging generative AI. So this capability is delivered through Clinical Hub, and it basically aims to automate the synthesis of patient data from various unstructured sources such as PDF reports and creates a cohesive and comprehensive summary for these tumor board presentations for the clinicians, right? So by doing so, we save some time and ensure consistency and accuracy, right? So these AI generated summaries are shown on the left and the original source of documents are shown on the right. So users can easily edit the AI generated text to match their preferred documentation style or regenerate the summary if needed. So the hyperlink reference numbers allows us to quickly directly access the original source for each specific data point, ensuring there is a transparency and easy verification. And for all these processes, we always have a human in the loop because we are highly regulated healthcare industry. So we have to make sure about the transparency and the easy verification throughout this AI ML pipelines that we are building. So to give a little bit more context, the problems that we are trying to solve here is, as we all know, the cancer care healthcare data is very extremely complex, right? And the patient has its own journey, right? So in this slide, what we are trying to show you is that in 2014, let's say the patient was diagnosed with breast cancer in the right breast stage 2A with certain positive and negative biomarkers. A lumpectomy was performed in 2015, and in 2019, the cancer relapsed, spreading to the liver, and was classified as stage 4 in 2020. There was another relapse, right? So, with cancer spreading to bones and liver again. So, the NCCN, which are the clinical guidelines, they recommend the treatment that should be followed for these cancer patients, that also recommend going through certain clinical trials for the best treatment options that could be available. So if you look at this patient journey, all these data elements, mostly they are sitting in unstructured notes. And if we have to extract to get some quick clinical decision making for the clinicians, it's a very daunting task. And it's a right problem to solve using NLP, large language models, GenAI, depending on the use case that we want to follow. So now, based on this, like our teams in Roche, they definitely identified that, we have these data that is sitting in diverse reports. It also has multiple languages because Roche is a very global company and different geographies. It has this semantic ambiguity where, this healthcare data and concepts are not very clear and they are open to also multiple interpretations, right? So how do you go about harmonizing this data, mapping to certain terminologies and healthcare standards, while also analyzing and exchanging this information using different for different use cases, right? So for example, healthcare data has its own data dictionaries, synonyms, abbreviations. So manual annotations is always very labor intensive and subjective. A lot of these documents also exist in PDF formats, right? So we all agreed that we need certain capabilities in our data platform which can handle optical character recognition and these NLP techniques to extract these entities from for these patient records. So one of the use case I just want to go through for this talk is that, for example, in cancer, right, we have a different chemotherapies that are given in which, and the information is provided in different clinical notes. And what happens is that individuals basically go through different drug administrations and we call them as chemotherapy events, right? So these has to be extracted and mapped to the proper medication and the terminologies, right? So in this case, each event must be assigned to a time extent based on the date of the note or any temporal modifier or an indicators like time expressions identified alongside the medication event. So what we did is we also are very much collaborative with academic principal investigators, and also we participated in this NASA challenge that was in 2024 that also provided us access to the data that was de-identified from various different academic centers in United States, right? So for this shared task, what we did was we basically, our goal was to advance the state of the art of this clinical event timeline extraction from these electronic health records. Specifically, this work was focused on chemotherapy events, right, from these electronic health records for patients which were diagnosed with breast, ovarian, and skin cancers. So a subset of the patients were annotated for the gold entities and time expressions, temporal relations, and patient timelines. The rest was basically the unlabeled data. So there were basically two subtasks that we went through. One was, the gold chemotherapy event mentions, which are highlighted in green, and the time expressions, which are highlighted in blue, that were provided along with these electronic health records, right? So the goal was for us to build these patient level timelines using the gold annotations as input, no, as input, right? And so this task basically, the first one explored the topics of temporal relations extraction and timeline creation if event and time expression input is perfect, right? And the second subtask was, which is basically the realistic real world setting that only electronic health records are provided. And that task, we have to develop an end-to-end system for chemotherapy treatment timeline extraction for this patient's electronic health records. So this was how the data set looked like for us. And it's a very typical healthcare data set, right? Like where we have few thousand, hundred patients and each patient has a different kind of unstructured PDF or text format, free notes like radiology, pathology notes, right? Discharge notes, etc. So a subset of the patients we sampled to create basically the gold annotations, right? And the two domain experts basically created these gold annotations for these events, right? Then basically a typical machine learning pipeline, we divided the data set into training, development, and the test sets. And this table basically is showing you that, how the number of the patients, clinical notes, and words across these training sets were basically split across these different sets, right? So in the words refer here is the tokens separated by these white spaces, basically. So after that, this is, I will say, our main large language model pipeline looks like for us, right? So what you see here is that, we leverage current state of the art large language models, because earlier we were using very deep learning methods like convolutional neural networks, right? But now with this large language models, we started looking into the Mistral and the Llama 2 basically, and start doing the experimentation on different sizes and the architectures basically on the token sizes. I have given a reference because we have published this work also, where we can find more details on what those configurations look like for us, right? We went through the basic data processing steps basically, which is like paragraph detection, documenting, chunking, etc. To make it very simple, we just tried, we didn't do any further training. We just use these out of the box shelf models and then try just the zero shot prompting, right? So even with these models, basically our accuracies, I will say, we in this competition, we were like, our rank was fifth basically for all the participants who participated in this challenge, right? And then we were able to create these chemo timelines based on this data set. And this is a very critical feature, even though we tried on these de-identified academic center patients, but then, this kind of a feature we are in the process that we can implement in our data platform to basically take it to different other hospitals, basically to structure their data and make some clinical decision making out of this kind of an LLM pipeline that we are trying to build. To More details can be found in the on our publication. But just as an example, I also want to highlight, right? We are also using very healthcare specific large language models, right? So we use open source like Johnson Labs MedLlama 3, which basically has which also uses like very healthcare specific embeddings from different healthcare data sets, like, PubMed articles, etc., which are very domain specific and that which are highly accurate and also very much production ready, that can help us improve the accuracy. And that is something, the ongoing work that we are exploring, that how do we leverage these models which are much more efficient, but then at the same time, when we apply to the healthcare data, that can give us better results, so that the human in the loop has to do less work in terms of verification and validation basically for us. I mean, this is just a code snippet that has been we use basically for basically creating these prompts and then running these pipelines to basically apply these large language models for us. To keep it, also I want to highlight, right, basically Roche, as I said, right, is a highly regulated industry because of healthcare, for diagnostics and pharmaceuticals, right? So we also realize that, all the NLP and the machine learning that we do, there is it has to be basically the goal for us is to maximize the benefit for the patients, but also minimize the harm that can be done, right? So in early 2023, before taking on these projects, right, we have also adopted some 13 public-facing Roche data ethics principle to guide our data handling behavior that we maintain throughout our platform while creating these pipelines, right? And then these are the clear set of principles that we follow for design, development, deployment, and monitoring of our AI solutions. So I mean, just in the conclusion, I will say, building these kind of LLM platforms is a journey for us, right? And building these can come with significant challenges, right? Including the high cost if we have to build something from scratch in healthcare domain. And there is a need for specialized talent, infrastructure requirements, right? And they require careful pre-processing since inputs may not always align with their intended purpose, right? Privacy and legal concerns in the healthcare data is also very critical because of GDPR and HIPAA regulations. And additionally, these LLMs can suffer from algorithmic bias and may generate inaccurate information, leading to misleading diagnostic recommendations or false treatment suggestions. So, despite these risks, LLMs can effectively summarize vast amount of data, and that is a small feature that I think I spoke in the beginning of my slides, that we were able to create that feature in one of our solutions, leveraging the platform, right? So now, to ensure that these LLMs platforms are developed and used ethically and responsibly, we are a team of multidisciplinary professionals like clinicians, peers, lawyers, regulatory experts, and computer scientists who play a very critical role in this building these end-to-end platforms, right? So it's a tremendous opportunity, but also a tremendous responsibility, especially in this healthcare domain. So this will be a journey for us, I will say. I would like to thank the audience, and then we are a team of software engineers, data scientists, product managers, and then yeah, I mean Roche is hiring. Thank you.